So everything that you read about on the internet these days, almost all of it is fake AI bot bullshit. Let's be honest. Most of the activity on the internet is no longer human activity. Most of it is automated. We've known this for a while now. There is this theory out there called the dead internet theory, and the dead internet theory basically purports that at some point there's going to be more bot activity on the internet than human activity. The bots basically control everything. They control the narrative, they control all the talking points, they basically control what you think, they shape what you think, what your perceptions of reality are. They shape everything about you, what you think about politics and religion and just life in general, right? Most of what you think, especially young people these days that spend a lot of time on the internet and especially on social media, I would say 90% of their thoughts, whether they realize it or not, were formed partially based on being tricked by the internet and all of these bots. And because of the rise of social media and especially the explosion of social media automation with all these bots, many of these bots, by the way, they're controlled by the big mega cap corporations. So, your trillion-dollar corporations are out there running most of these bots. They're the ones really shaping the hearts and minds of people, trying to steer people in various directions. Some of these bots are controlled by government actors, government agencies. And this leads us into a really dark future, because basically what we've got nowadays is because most of the people that spend most of the time on social media and are shaped by social media are young people. We have an entire younger generation of people that are coming up that basically their entire way of life and their way of thinking has been shaped by bot bullshit. Think about all the young people that spend all their time on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or X, or whatever the hell it's called these days, Instagram, and they think they're engaging with other people, other young people typically. And most of the time, I would say probably 80% of the people that they are engaged with on these social media platforms, all the comments, all the posts, like 80% of it is fake. It's fake, automated bullshit. But how do you tell? Well, I can tell because I'm an older person and I can spot bullshit when I see it. Also because I'm out in reality and I'm not tied to social media all day. I got off of TV over a decade ago. I basically got rid of my TV about 10 or 12 years ago because I did not like the way mainstream media like network television and cable news, I didn't like where all of that stuff was going, because back then, 12 years ago, I could spot half the shit is fake. Just straight up bullshit, straight up lies, straight up myths. It was all propaganda. And on everything. It's not just like the newscast, but TV shows, movies, commercials. And I didn't want to be influenced by that stuff. So I just got rid of my TV. Now, if I want to watch something, I'll watch whatever I want to watch on Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, whatever. But, now I've got a little bit more control over when I want to watch something and what I watch. But it's gotten so much worse now. But as somebody that's now not had a TV, I'm not on social media pretty much at all, right? I haven't had a Twitter account or a Facebook account or anything like that in probably 8-10 years. It's been a long time since I've been on social media. And, when I'm out in the world talking to normal people, especially people my age, who are also much more likely not to spend a lot of time on social media, they probably don't watch a lot of network TV, older folks, they're typically out in life, living life, talking to other real human beings. And I noticed this the other day when I'm talking to people my age or people older especially. They talk a certain way, right? We have a language, we have a certain sense of reality because we're out in it every day. But then I'll talk to younger people, or especially I'll see younger people talk to each other, and I can't understand anything they're talking about. I can't understand the words they're using, the phrases they're using. They're using phrases I've never heard of in my life, and I think that's pretty well educated. I've got a pretty good glossary of words and phrases that I know about, but like half the stuff these younger people are saying are these words and these memes and things I know nothing about. It's because they live in this false reality that is social media, and they think they've learned all these cool phrases and buzzwords from other peers, human peers, but they don't realize they've been taught this stuff by the AI bots. So if you're a younger person that hangs out on social media a lot, you have to understand that you're not out there talking to billions of people around the globe like you think you are. There are a few human beings on your social media platforms, but you're the exception. You're not the rule. So basically, most of the time when you're engaging with people on social media, you're the lone human being that's swimming in a sea of synthetic voices, these bot voices, these AI generated spam, right? Basically, these bots that are run by the mega corporations, these government agencies, these nefarious people that are trying to shape your opinion, not just your opinion, all the world's opinion, right? These bots are there to manufacture trends. They're there to inflate opinions. They are there basically to try to drum up a fake consensus, right? They want you to believe that, hey, everybody thinks this way because all of these fake people that you think are real people but are actually bots, they all agree with each other on whatever topic they're talking about. So that must be what everybody thinks about this topic. So I have to think about it because I don't want to stand out. I can't go against the crowd. And you got to realize at some point, you got played. So all those viral memes and those micro trends that especially you Gen Z folks, you've got those memes, right? All of that stuff, those are not organically come by, right? Those are just artifacts of this AI algorithmic manipulation. And this stuff is incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous to humanity because it leads us in a direction that we normally just wouldn't go, because these bots, they have completely distorted culture. They completely distorted reality. They're completely rewiring people's psychology. If you study any kind of self-help kind of topics, whether that be psychology, just doing better in business, spirituality, right? Philosophy. If you're somebody that wants to study on how to be a better person and how to be a better contributor to society, right? None of what you see on social media fits into any of that, right? Because we know that one of the most important parts of being a human being is to not act out in a violent way. That's negative. It's negative for you. It's negative for the other person. It's negative for society in a whole. Societies destroy themselves when they become violent because it leads to war, leads to mass casualties. It is not good for anybody. Oddly enough, the world is an incredibly violent place if you go and look at social media. Now, out in the real world, thankfully, it's not quite the way social media portrays things, but a lot of people have been twisted by, again, these are not real people. It's fake bots that generate all the controversy, all the anger, all the hostility, all the hate. You have all these bots that tell people to go out and commit acts of crime, in some case, acts of violence. And they tell you it's okay, even though common sense, if you've done any kind of study, if you've actually tried to actually study on how to be a good human being, you know that that's not good, right? You know that is not proper advice at all. But there's some nefarious actors, some very big actors out there that are putting all of these bots in motion. They have flooded the internet. They control the narrative, and you have to be able to spot the bullshit. I've done a couple of videos in the past about the phenomenon of doom scrolling and how doom scrolling is especially dangerous psychologically, especially to young people who buy into all the anger and the negativity and the hate, and it becomes this feedback loop where they need more anger, negativity, and hate, and their whole life is consumed by anger, negativity, and hate. And at some point you just have to disconnect, right? You have to disconnect from what is obvious propaganda and AI automated spam. You have to get rid of all social media or limit its use. And when you use it, you have to understand that you can't trust anything you read or watch on a social media app. I actually find it a little heartbreaking when I see, especially younger people that have bought into a lot of the BS, because I see younger people that they spend all their time on these social media apps in these echo chambers that are mostly bots that are creating the echo chamber, telling them what to think, how to think, what to feel, how to vote, what to think about certain groups of people, whether it be ethnic groups of people or religious groups of people. They've been told about these groups of people, and everybody agrees that this is the way you should think about these groups of people because, again, that's what the social media app tells them. And then they go out in the real world and it's nothing like that. And they seem confused. They're wondering what's going on. Why are these people not acting like me? Because everybody on the internet that we're told to act like this and think like this, but nobody else is doing this. At some point you have to realize that either the people out in the world, out in reality, maybe they're just not in on the joke with you, or maybe it's you that are part of the joke. What I find especially disturbing, though, these AI bots, especially as AI gets smarter, they're telling people on the internet, because I've seen younger people that when we talk about reality, there's reality and then there's not reality, right? It's fake bullshit, right? And young people these days actually think you can just create your own reality. And as odd as that is, I can just make up any reality I want, and it's true. Now, naturally, anybody that actually has a brain and it has above like a 8-year-old's intelligence level knows that reality's reality, and that's just it, right? But they've been told you can just create your own reality, and they've been told this by the AI bots because I think it's a strategy, right? If I'm AI trying to take over the world, like Terminator and Judgment Day, I'm the machines trying to take over the world. I'm going to steer people in the direction I want to steer them in, even if it's complete bullshit, right? And then when people naturally call me out on the bullshit, I just tell them, oh, don't worry. Don't worry if that doesn't conform to reality. You can create your own reality. And young people who, in some cases, are not properly armed to defend this kind of stuff, they buy into the bullshit. The internet is often described as a marketplace of ideas. It's a free marketplace of competing ideas. But that's not really what the internet has evolved into. Now the internet is a hall of mirrors where young minds are trapped, absorbing these reflections that aren't even human. So to wrap things up, my call to action is, guys, unplug from social media, delete the apps off your phone, and get out in the real world and talk to real people, especially real people that aren't so tied into social media. Go talk to older folks. You probably got some parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. Go speak to some of those older folks that haven't been corrupted by all this AI bot bullshit. I think you would be shocked at what the world really is compared to what you think the world is. Anyway, food for thought. Peace, guys.